Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Topcats Lair, where I'm going to talk about Channel 10 news. I went to GameSpot AU, got their recent podcast, the 7th of March podcast, where it was talking about the Channel 10 news basically taking an old argument that video games cause people to become psychos. But that's not the case. They'd like to argue it is because it's a hot topic and a slow news day. The problem with the news report is it has a lot of juxtapositioning between violence and video games, but no actual proof, except some experts saying that it is true. The report goes on and it states some misleading and either ill-informed or they're lying, basically. One of the two, about a game called Modern Warfare 2, which is a violent video game, but it's not what they say it is. Which happens a lot in news reports because the video game that they're reporting on they don't play. Me personally, I don't want Channel 10 in Australia to become Fox News. That would be bad. So I'm going to show clips from it and then commentate throughout.
Experts claim the link between violent video games and youth crime is greater than the connection between smoking and lung cancer. A parliamentary inquiry has been told parents need to be better informed about the dangers.
At a King's Cross chicken shop, another appalling example of our appetite for violence.
Oh, appetite for violence? Oh, outside a chicken shop? They're so funny at Channel 10 News.
Open for business half an hour after a young customer's throat was cut in a glassing. It was a bloody weekend in Melbourne too. A bouncer's face was slashed in one of a string of weapon attacks. Psychologists say the explosion in youth crime is inextricably linked to violent video games and other media.
The upshot in violent crime is due to these violent video games. Does that mean the crimes you were showing beforehand are linked to violent video games? Because you didn't seem to make that connection. And if not, if those crimes aren't actually connected to violent video games and you're just juxtapositioning footage of Modern Warfare 2 next to violent crimes that are happening, that's very misleading and bad news reporting. So please connect the two with facts and show those facts.
It's much greater than the effect of smoking on lung cancer.
The Council on Children and the Media says too many youngsters are desensitised and is calling for an information pack to be mailed to every household.
There's a study showing that the average child sees in their childhood 16,000 murders and 200,000 acts of violence.
16,000 murders! Like, murders. And is that real murders? Are you talking about actual murders? Or are they simulated? Are they on television? Are they in video games? Are they in a Roadrunner cartoon? Explain more. I'd like to know where these 16,000 murders are coming from. 'Cause I ain't seen them.
Youth advocate Angry Anderson says the stabbing death of a 12-year-old in Queensland highlights the need for action.
It's not so much the activities of the bad people, it's the appalling silence of the good. We can be silent no longer.
Experts argue the gaming industry has much to account for. In Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 2, the highest-selling media product of all time, gamers plot terror attacks against civilians.
This is an out-and-out lie! Either they are lying or they're ill-informed about Modern Warfare 2. Obviously, because you do not plot terror attacks against civilians. They are talking about the one scene in this game. It is highly controversial. Civilians are gunned down in it, but you are not plotting the terror attack. You're undercover in this one scene. This is one scene from the game. They're making it out that it's the entire game is about plotting terror attacks, when actually the entire game is about defeating terrorists. But you've infiltrated the terrorist cell and this terrorist cell is gunning down people, which you can choose to skip this scene, but it is kind of an integral part of the plot. And in the footage shown of a man taped to a chair and blindfolded, I'll show you just now,
Gamers plot terror attacks against civilians.
you're actually sent in to rescue those civilians. So putting a guy saying, oh, in Modern Warfare 2 you plot attacks on civilians, and then showing a man tied to a chair blindfolded with tape over his mouth is incredibly misleading. It implies that you are there capturing that civilian and torturing them or whatever you're doing to them. It's just used to heighten the report, and shouldn't be, because it's misleading and implies something that's not true. But maybe somebody just didn't check their facts.
Psychologists say regular exposure to games like these actually rewires a child's brain, making them more amenable to violence.
Let me just make a point. I have been brought up on horror, and gory horror at that. Lots of violent movies, lots of violent video games. I love them. I love seeing fatalities where spines get ripped out and then they use the spine as a whip. And I don't think it has made me into a psychopath. Michael Atkinson's argument, because he is first and foremost a scientist, is that 99 or 98% of gamers will not get affected by violent images, but it's the 1 or 2% that will be. You know how many gamers there are out there, Michael Atkinson? A lot more than you might think. He must think that there's 100 gamers out there, and that 1 or 2 of them are committing murders and immoral acts right now. There's a lot more gamers than 100, because he's saying 1 or 2% as a percentile of gamers. It goes into the thousands. A large percentage of the population plays video games because they're a form of entertainment and they're fun. So, Michael Atkinson, just check your facts before you just spout stuff that you think is true.